Man, the Brendan Sorsby story. He's the multi-million-dollar quarterback transfer to Texas Tech. He's now in a rehab facility. This thing is turning into a John Grisham novel. There are all sorts of spin-off issues now, and then you're going to have to make some decisions here. You're going to have to come up with something. The dramatic setup of a high-profile player and gambling was going to happen sooner or later. It's happened in various forms. It just hasn't been this high profile, and I doubt seriously this is the last. But it just doesn't end there. It doesn't just stop at, oh, it's an issue. What should or shouldn't happen to someone who's betting on games. But there's no way any of us thought it would be this complicated and this wild. So here's what you need to do. And I know the public generally, fans of college football, just don't really care about the issues. I mean, I really don't think you do. But, just for conversation's sake, I think you have to have some opinion. I think I'm going to force you to have some opinion on betting. Because it's a thing, and it's not going to be the last time you hear about this. This one's just turning into a much, much bigger story. So everybody needs to form an opinion on what rules you think, and I don't care what person you want to be in the equation, what you think should govern college football players in betting. The NFL it's very clear. I mean, obviously, the betting world has changed dramatically, and it's legal in most states, not the state of Texas, which I think this issue is going to be used against legalizing in the state of Texas. I don't agree with that because I think keeping it above board is a smart thing to do. But this has been coming fast and furious for some time, and the NFL was quick. As usual, the NFL, unlike college football, the NFL is quick to make decisions. It's quick to put in policy. It's quick to put in guardrails. College football has no clue what it's doing or where it's going. So the NFL puts a policy in place that you bet on the game. You bet on the NFL. You're done for at least a year. Done. It's zero tolerance. You can bet on other sports. You just can't bet at team facilities and stuff like that. But you bet on the sport itself, you're done. And you can think that's harsh or not, but that's what they've agreed to do. College football sort of had the same thing, but who knows now? So you have to form an opinion on what you think is reasonable. Like if you were a president of a university, an athletic director, a coach, a teammate. I mean, I don't care. There's a lot of people involved in these stories. What you think should be allowed or not allowed, and then what the punishment should be. Should it be zero tolerance across the board for college players in betting, period? Zero tolerance if you bet on your own sport, period. As in $5 or $5,000. Do you want them out? Is that practical? Is that reasonable? Should it be a dollar limit? What is a reasonable way to go at this? Since they don't have any idea what they're doing, even though there's rules in place, but this is where the thing turns into a Grisham novel. Where should the rules come from, by the way? The school, which I think it should, but the presidents of universities are scared of rich people. But the schools should have a policy. The conferences can have a policy. Or you want no rules in place at all, which is, I think, what the public really is fine with. So put yourself in position of being a head coach, which I think is really difficult here, really difficult in this time. And I know that sounds crazy given that they make all this money. But they have quickly, as I predicted a long time ago, quickly had all the power taken from them. They don't really run anything anymore. But what if you're a head coach? What if you're a player? What if you're a teammate? What if your teammate has been betting? What if you're a school president? A conference commissioner? What are reasonable rules given that betting online is legal in most states? It's the story, somehow, I didn't think this was going to happen, but I mean, it had to be a giant Grisham-like story to push Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini, the smut in Sedona, back further, and then move the NFL draft just 2 days later, move the NFL draft back even further. But that's exactly what's happened. So, and it's really complicated, and I think it's going to get even more complicated. because no one's going to step in and say, no. The answer is no, that's it. So here goes ESPN's first take. I believe this is David Purdom, who's been on this show several times. He's good. He originally started writing about betting in terms of what's interesting in terms of bets, but now he's writing about gambling scandals pretty regularly. He's on First Take.
Here's what I think, David. I think a lot of people may have seen this headline yesterday and don't have a full understanding of what exactly is happening and what it means. So can you set the table for them? What happened yesterday and what do the fans need to know?
So Sorsby, prized prospect, pro prospect, checked into a rehab facility for a gambling addiction after information came to light that revealed he had been betting heavily during his college players years. And that would have included betting when he's under 21, which was the legal age when he was in Indiana and Ohio. So he was able to evade those reportedly. He reportedly placed thousands of bets in recent years, including on an Indiana football game when he was a freshman quarterback with the Hoosiers. Now, those bets, as you mentioned, were reportedly on Indiana to win, but according to NCAA rules, that doesn't matter. The rules state that players who bet on anything involving their team, no matter if it's to win or if it's to lose or if they played or not, can face permanent loss of eligibility. So the NCAA has to look into this. This is the most prominent college player that's been involved in any of these gambling schemes that have come about. So we're going to have to see what happens, but it's a major, major bombshell for college football.
Yeah, I don't think it stops there, and I think it doesn't stop there because of Texas Tech and possibly because of political connections, which is exactly where the sport always ends up, and continually going to end up in political and legal places. Because when in doubt, the rich people just fight to keep the thing going. He was betting so often that he was betting every pitch of baseball games and was doing it underage at the time. So he's on his way to rehab, and, you know, by definition, he's an addict, and that's a good thing. And, you know, you wish the guy well, and hopefully he kicks it, because you have no right to play college football. But so I don't know if the trip to rehab is to provide cover for a path to leniency, or he's doing it for real help, or maybe both. Because chances are this eventually, if Texas Tech pushes back and they say, we're going to fight for this guy to play, they're going to end up in front of a judge. And one of the things that some would argue is if you went to rehab, then you're going to get a much more favorable position by the judge. That's, of course, completely dismissing the rules that are in place, as usual in college football. The rich people don't care. They don't care. There are rules, but nobody seems to follow them. But I think this one is digging a really, really deep and dangerous hole. So hopefully the guy gets help. His head coach showed empathy yesterday. It was the right thing to do. So here goes, and I agree with this. It's, of course, Brandon's favorite show, the almost Senator of the United States, Paul Feinbaum. I think he's right on this. He was also on ESPN.
Hey, what thoughts are going through your mind?
Greeny, I believe this is the tip of an iceberg. This is a story that a lot of people have been waiting to happen. It was a couple of years ago, the head baseball coach at Alabama bet on games. He was fired immediately. The story went away. But this is such a big story. I called Danny Sheridan last night, the well-known sports handicapping expert. He told me 75% of male college students bet on sports, and more than 25%, according to his research, of athletes. This could be an epidemic proportion and an epidemic of a scandal. Greeny, and here's the most interesting part. The NCAA has been asking for this. About a year ago, the NCAA agreed on legislation that allowed college athletes to bet on professional sports. A number of people, including the SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, intervened. They went to the president, Charlie Baker, and said, we have to rescind this. They did, but they opened the door for all of this, as we all know where sports gambling is, and now it has crept into college sports. And Greeny, unfortunately, I believe we'll be here many more times talking about this issue.
Yeah, I think that's true. I do. And he's right. Everybody could see this coming. Again, I think the average fan, I don't really know that you care until you do when a game is thrown. That's not the accusation here. But how this is handled, the direction this takes, whatever rules are left, decides everything going forward. And that's the real judgment here. The NFL fixed their problem, if you want to say it's a problem. The NFL said if you bet on an NFL game, you're done. You're done. You're done for at least a year. Goodbye. So long. And they've already done that to some players. So if the rules were followed as they are laid out now, he'd be done with college football. Yahoo reports Sorsby's actions are at the center of an NCAA investigation that could result in the end of his college football career. His actions led him to seeking treatment for gambling addiction. The NCAA's stringent gambling policy includes, quote, permanent loss of eligibility for those wagering on their own team, even if they didn't influence the game or play in it. And he didn't. And he bet on Indiana. But he wasn't in the game. That's what we know so far. Hey, here's a recommendation backed up by my own experience, a great experience. And that is, I've been a client of DJC Law, and I can tell you this. You're going to get three things with DJC Law. You'll notice it right away. The difference is you will get peace of mind. They will take care of every single detail perfectly, and you will get the result you deserve. If you're injured by the negligence of someone else, fighting with an insurance company for any reason, trust me when I tell you, you will need DJC Law. Dan Christensen and his team of attorneys have a remarkable track record. I've known Dan a long time. He's a military vet. He's board certified in civil trial law, and I've been a client. So you can trust them. You will get the result you deserve. Check out teamjustice.com, and you'll see thousands of five-star reviews. The bottom line is, if you're in an accident, you need DJC Law. Contact them right away. 512-888-9999. The bets on his own team were made 4 years ago. The timing of such wagers normally does not impact punishment. In fact, there is precedent to ban him from ever playing again. Yeah, this happened with a guy from, I want to say it was Iowa State or somewhere a couple years ago. 2 weeks ago, the NCAA, which is the governing body sort of college sports, which is, this is what I've been telling everyone you're going to get into. You have no rules. You have no governing body. You have an out of control sugar daddy base that is just blowing through these programs and financing them with no regard. They don't care about any rules or what gets torched in the process. Now, was this going to happen sooner or later with a good player, star player? Yeah, of course. It's probably happening far more often, and sooner or later a game is going to get thrown. If you don't fix this, the NFL knows that. But less than 2 weeks ago, Yahoo Sports reports the NCAA contacted Texas Tech about the investigation, revealing troves of transactions of his online betting history. That's why I think it's better than betting beyond legal platforms. The NCAA is likely to recommend that Sorsby, having bet on his own team, be deemed ineligible. The next step in the process, here's where it comes. Here's the Grisham part, is Texas Tech filing for reinstatement of his eligibility. A denial of such from the NCAA is certain to spark a legal challenge from Sorsby in a case that may even be backed by Texas Tech. There comes politics. There comes legality. There comes the difference between the NFL and college football. The NFL says, here are the rules, agree, done. That's it, and moves forward. In college football, it is rudderless, and then lawyer up, and then if lawyering up doesn't work, then you call on your political friends. I think it's a horrible mistake for Texas Tech. I think it's a bad look. I think it sets a bad precedent. I don't just mean as in you win or lose, as in that's not a teammate you want to have. That's not a guy you want to coach anymore. That's playing with fire, man. The guy's an addict. Doesn't mean he's a horrible human being. He can go get a job. He can go to college like anyone else. He's got a chance at life. You can't run the risk of that addict doing the same thing again. All right, so Tech, obviously, the school is believed to be compensating him at $5 million. He may need a look out. He may need, Yahoo reports, he may need a local Lubbock judge to reclaim his eligibility. As if you don't think that's going to happen. What do you think the rules should be? Like the NFL says, you bet on the NFL, goodbye. What should it be in college football? I mean, and who should decide, right? I mean, I will tell you this. I think the schools, this is where it's really embarrassing for the schools. The university presidents should have already stepped in. They can't because they're afraid of rich people. And rich people will get them fired because all they care about is winning at football. But university presidents should just step in and say, I don't know what everyone else is doing. Here's what's going to work here. Anybody that goes to this school, even if you're fake students, you bet on your sport, you're not here anymore. Goodbye. There. But that's probably not where this is going to end up yet. So it gets even more Grisham-like because everyone's already suing each other with this guy. I mean, he's a Grisham novel by himself. Several of those familiar with the situation and close to the quarterback believe the university knew of his gambling exploits since at least last fall. Whoever knew, whenever you knew it, and you signed off on the dotted line, or whatever they signed, if they even have anything to sign anymore, if you gave the guy money and you knew this was going on, it's reported that Cincinnati had an idea. Whether Texas Tech did or didn't, we don't know yet. But if you did, I mean, look what happens. Cincinnati had filed a lawsuit earlier this spring against him over $1 million buyout the school believes he owes. In interesting timing, on Monday, his attorneys filed a motion to dismiss the suit, arguing that it violates Ohio law. So he then goes off to rehab. He was already being sued for them saying, hey, kid, you owe us some money. It was just a few months ago, it's reported now, that college sports leaders decided to dramatically change their sports gambling policy. Under the change, athletes could wager on pro sports. However, Power Conference leaders rallied to overturn that decision, keeping in place a policy that prohibits all sports gambling. Again, the rules are clear. Whether you want to fight them or not, we're going to find out. Whether you want to say no, up yours, we're going to find out. The policy is this. Number one, players playing in and influencing their own games, or knowingly providing information to influence their games, or wagering on their own games, on their own sports, at their own schools, are permanently banned. You think that happens here? 2, players wagering on their own sport, even if at another school, will lose as much as 50% of a season of eligibility. Number 3, those betting on pro sports face penalties based on how much money they bet. This is for college athletes. 10% loss of the season for more than a $200 bet, 30% loss for more than a $500 bet, and potential permanent ban for more than $800 bet. Okay. So, I mean, what is agreed upon is pretty clear. Whether, as usual, anyone agrees to follow it, who knows? So let's say Texas Tech says, hey, we can't talk to him right now. He's off in rehab. They lawyer up. They have their finance. They're money guys. Finance a legal fight. They hope that it ends up with a local judge. They appeal for reinstatement. Then the question would be, ask yourself this. If you were the Big 12, or if you were the university president, or anybody else for that matter, would you step in and say, no, man. The rules are clear that all the rest of us are going to follow. He's not playing. I mean, who steps in and when? Or, I mean, we could go down this path, talking about what happens. since there's no really such a thing as following rules. There are all sorts of rules in place now. People just say screw it and don't follow them. The course of action for Tech, that's the real unknown here. Or maybe we're starting to get hints. And appeal and hope, say, hey, judge, he went to rehab. Let's get a 3-game suspension. That's cool. Don't make us fight you. Don't make me call my friends at the legislature. Don't make us go there. So give him a 3-game suspension. We'll call it a day. Would you agree to that? If you're the rest of the programs in the Big 12, would you agree to that? If you're the commissioner of the Big 12 who's really good, he's sharp, would you agree to that? So if Tech could say, we're out, man. We're out. This guy is he's got baggage all day, every day. He's getting sued by them. We pay him $5. We end up here. He's just not worth the hassle. He's done with college football. Given their statements, it doesn't sound like that's the path they're going to take. Yet. But I don't know that I can blame them. The thing that won't be talked about, but should be talked about, is, one, if he's an addict, here's the thing, forget the legality of this. He's an addict, and you can't trust him as a player. Again, that doesn't mean he's not a human being. Doesn't mean he can't be a college student. Doesn't mean he can't go design software. Doesn't mean any of that stuff. But you can't trust somebody. And if you can't trust the game, you can't trust your teammate, you can't trust your player, then the whole thing is blown up. I mean, it's not a right to play college football. I know we act as if this. I know the rich guys act like it is, but it's not. If you take him back, you can decide for yourself if you think they do that or if you think they should do that. If you take him back and he plays, it's a risk. Everything is going to be questioned. Even probably in the own building, it's going to be questioned. Every interception, every bad pass, every whatever. And again, that's not that you don't want good things for the guy. I mean, if he's trying to get help at a young age and not wreck his own life, but that's different than playing in a game. The guy was betting on every pitch of a baseball game. It's a risk. I mean, I think you could blow up your own locker room. I do. I think there's that much of a risk if things go wrong. 3, nothing happens, and or a local judge says, up yours college sports, and he plays once again, and then you're in an industry with no rules, and sooner or later these scandals eat it alive. I kept telling you these things are going to get bigger and bigger and messier. It's happened before, and it's not going to stop unless somebody comes up with some rules, unless somebody draws a line, unless somebody says, back away, rich people. It's enough already. We've got to fix this thing. Because you're going to have enough of these scandals, you will ruin. And if I were on the media side of this, if I were paying a lot of money to show these games, you're running a real risk that if you keep running into these scandals where people don't trust the game, then you run the risk of ruining fans and ruining your media partners. It's out of control now, but most people don't care. Imagine what happens when a player who is outed for betting on games ends up throwing a game. A player that's been betting on games gets to play, and it ends badly. That's why the NFL does what it does. It stops immediately and says, you bet on the sport. I mean, they've even pivoted a little bit. You bet on the sport, you're done for good. That's it, no questions asked. I mean, college sports is like just sitting at this doorstep. And then you've got those other Grisham-like issues of the lawsuits, the rehab, the position they take, and then whether or not, and you can almost count on this, if Tech decides to push back, if Tech decides to use political power, your political heroes, some of them might just get involved. Or I think the smarter play is we'll do all we can to support the guy in rehab. He's done here. And you just move on. I mean, that would be the safer, more prudent plan, but that's not exactly the way these things work anymore. So what do you want them to do? Like, what would you think would be reasonable for a gambling policy? Because it's there, it's real, it happens. In his case, some of them were illegal, but that's not going away. I don't think you make it go away.